I think some people are afraid that taking the first step, admitting they're powerless, is like giving up. But in reality, it's like finally stopping a car that's been running on three wheels and a prayer. You can't get to where you're going until you pull over and admit you need help.
Exactly. Taking this step helps because it clears the air. It stops the exhaustion of the double life. Once you admit you're not God, you're finally free to be you. And you're finally in a position where the real God can start putting the pieces back together. It's not an ending. It's the first day of the rest of your life.
And that is exactly why we pulled up these chairs today. I mean, welcome.
Yeah, welcome. We're really glad you're here.
It's just, so incredibly good to be sitting across the table from you right now. We are right here at the Crosstalk Cafe in South Park, and
The coffee is poured.
the coffee is definitely poured. We've cleared our schedules, and we just want to sit together with you as peers, as friends who are walking this exact same road of recovery right alongside you.
Right. We aren't here to lecture you. Not at all.
Oh, no, because we know what it takes to walk through those doors, to grab that cup of coffee and finally sit down when, your legs feel like they're literally made of lead.
Oh man, I remember that feeling.
We know the profound weight you are carrying right now.
It's a staggering weight, isn't it? Like when you first walk into a place like this, walking through the doors of Peters Creek Baptist Church, finding your way into the cafe here,
Yeah.
there is usually this very potent mixture of absolute terror and just bone-deep exhaustion.
Bone deep, that is the exact word for it.
Because, we've spent a lot of time in our own lives focusing heavily on the wreckage. We look at what is broken, what is spun completely out of our grasp, the sheer pain that drives us into isolation.
Right.
But today, right now, we're looking at the light at the end of the tunnel. We're looking directly at the incredible, tangible hope of this very first step.
The turning point, that is really the core of our conversation today.
Yeah.
And it presents such a wild paradox to the human brain.
Oh, completely backwards to how we're wired.
Right. The whole world, everything in our culture, it screams at you that victory only comes from trying harder.
Hustle more.
Exactly. From gripping the wheel tighter, from proving to everyone in your family or your office that you have it all under control. But the truth of this recovery journey and the absolute truth found in the Word of God, it completely flips that upside down.
It really does.
The reality is that admitting utter defeat is the very first moment of real, sustainable victory. It feels like dying when you say it out loud, but...
It's actually the first breath of living.
Yes, exactly.
So let's frame up the core question we want to explore with you today. We want to hold this up to the light. How do you think taking this first step will actually help you?
Because it's one thing to vaguely know you need help.
Right. People walk around for decades vaguely knowing they need help. It is another thing entirely to have a clear, bright, motivating vision of the healthier life that is actually waiting for you on the other side of surrender. We want to help you articulate the fundamental why behind your recovery journey. Why go through the excruciating pain of admitting you are powerless?
Yeah.
What is the actual payoff?
Well, let's start right there with the payoff, because I think people assume the payoff takes years to arrive. Like it's some distant reward.
Yeah, like you have to earn it over a decade.
Right. But the payoff is immediate. In our journey, we call this the great unburdening.
The great unburdening. I love that phrase.
It is the physical, emotional, and mental health relief that comes rushing into your nervous system when the truth finally comes out. Think about the sheer cognitive load required to maintain a double life.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
If you were listening right now, have you ever really stopped to calculate the raw mental energy it takes to manage a lie every single day?
Let's actually break down what that cognitive load looks like from a neurological perspective, because it is fascinating and terrifying.
Go for it.
When you are living in denial or hiding a habit or trying to manipulate the people around you just to keep the peace, you are essentially asking your brain to run a massive, complex background application 24 hours a day.
Like a phone with too many apps open.
Exactly. Your brain is a prediction machine. It wants to keep you safe. So you wake up in the morning, and before your feet even touch the floor, your amygdala, the brain's threat detection center, is already firing.
Oh, I know that feeling intimately. You open your eyes and the dread hits you before you even form a coherent thought.
Precisely. Because your brain immediately starts running a diagnostic on the lies. It's like, who did I talk to last night before I passed out?
Right.
What version of the story did I tell my spouse about where the money went? Did I hide the evidence in the garage? What did I text my boss at midnight?
The panic.
You are constantly managing other people's perceptions to ensure your safety. You're functioning as a spin doctor, a crisis PR firm, and a highly armed security guard, all rolled into one exhausted human being.
It's just exhausting.
And your prefrontal cortex, which is supposed to be used for creativity, connection, peace, it's entirely hijacked by threat management.
That is such a vivid picture. You are running an entire corporation in your head just to appear normal to the outside world.
Yeah.
And the tragedy is those plates you are spinning, the ones you are exhausting yourself to keep in the air, they are destined to fall.
Always.
It is not a matter of if, it is a matter of when. Gravity always wins.
And the terror of knowing deep down that gravity is going to win creates a constant humming state of panic. It's like a low-grade fever of the soul.
A fever of the soul. That's good.
You are trying to control outcomes that are fundamentally out of your hands. You're trying to control how much you drink, or what your neighbors think of your family, or what your adult child decides to do with their life, or
How your spouse behaves when they're stressed.
exactly. And because the universe does not actually submit to your control, your body responds to that failure with severe anxiety.
So, what happens to that anxiety when you finally take the step? When you sit in a chair at the Crosstalk Cafe, look someone in the eye and say, I am powerless and my life is unmanageable.
Well, the lying stops.
Yeah.
The attempt to control the unmanageable ceases. And the most beautiful biological thing happens. Your threat detection system finally turns off.
Wow.
Your nervous system realizes the fight is over. You don't have to manage the PR firm anymore because the truth is already out.
The worst has happened and you are still breathing.
Exactly. And when that happens, your anxiety levels naturally, inevitably begin to plummet.
Let me give you a picture of what this looks like in practice. Imagine you are in a speeding car, barreling down a dark, winding highway at 80 miles an hour.
Okay, I'm with you.
But here is the massive catch. You are sitting in the passenger seat.
Oh, boy.
You aren't actually in the driver's seat. Yet, because you are utterly terrified of crashing, you are frantically reaching across the center console.
Just lunging across.
Yeah, lunging. You have your left hand gripping the steering wheel, your knuckles are totally white, trying to keep the car in the lane. You are contorting your entire body, trying to stretch your left leg over the console to hover over the brake pedal.
That sounds incredibly dangerous.
Right. You are desperately trying to operate a massive speeding vehicle from the wrong seat. Every single turn is terrifying. Every slight bump in the road feels like a near-death experience.
Because you don't actually have the leverage?
Exactly. You are cramped, you are sweating, and you are completely panicked.
But hang on, let me challenge that from the perspective of the person in the thick of it. To the person in that passenger seat, reaching across the console isn't an illusion of control. It feels like survival. Like, if I let go of the wheel, won't the car just veer off the cliff? Won't my family fall apart? Won't I lose my job? How do you convince someone's nervous system that pulling their hands back is actually safe?
Because you have to realize that you are already crashing.
Oh.
You aren't actually preventing the wreck. Your interference is causing the erratic driving. You are yanking the wheel and causing the very swerves that are terrifying you.
That's a huge shift in perspective.
Taking this first step, admitting powerlessness, is simply recognizing the physics of the situation. It is letting go of the steering wheel. It is pulling your leg back over the console. It is sitting back in your own seat, putting your seatbelt on, and looking over to let the actual driver god take over.
I mean, the speed of the road might still be scary.
Oh, sure.
The traffic around you might still be completely unpredictable. You might still hit a pothole.
Exactly. The circumstances of life don't magically become a smooth, straight line, but the panic of false responsibility, that dissolves completely.
Because you are no longer responsible for driving the car.
Right. The crushing weight of having to steer the universe from the passenger seat is gone. You just have to sit there, do your part, and trust the driver.
I want to build on that because it really highlights a profound systemic issue with how we live today. Modern society completely praises this driving from the passenger seat mentality.
We literally applaud people for it.
We call it hustle. We call it being driven or being a go-getter. We wear the badge of the control freak with a twisted sense of pride.
It's so true.
We mask our deep codependency, our trauma, and our hidden addictions as high achievement. Think about it. You wake up trying to control the universe, and by 9 in the morning, you are exhausted and furious because your spouse loaded the dishwasher wrong.
Oh, I've been there.
It is exhausting being the general manager of the universe for zero pay. but society often claps for you and calls you a dedicated parent or a phenomenal detail-oriented leader.
Oh, absolutely. The world tells us that wellness means having it all together. It means projecting an absolutely flawless image on social media, at church, and in the neighborhood.
Right.
But what happens when we completely redefine wellness? What if wellness has nothing to do with having it all together?
What if it's the exact opposite?
Yeah. What if true mental health starts with being perfectly, radically honest about what is falling apart? What if the healthiest thing a human being can say is, I have no idea what I am doing, my tank is completely empty, and my life has become totally unmanageable?
That brings up a fascinating contradiction, though.
What's that?
Well, if you are listening to this right now, you might be thinking, okay, stepping back into the passenger seat sounds great. Removing that cognitive load and that humming anxiety sounds like heaven.
Yeah.
So why do we fight it tooth and nail? Why do we hold on to the steering wheel until our muscles literally spasm? Is the familiarity of our pain somehow more comfortable to us than the unknown territory of freedom?
I think you just hit the nail on the head. That is the million-dollar question of human nature.
Right.
We fight it because pain, as terrible and destructive as it is predictable. We know the exact shape of our misery. We know exactly how it feels to wake up with that specific hangover.
That specific argument.
Yes. We know exactly how the script goes when we have the same screaming match with our teenager about their choices. We know our lines. We know their lines. We know exactly when to storm out of the room. It's a terrible play, but we are the star actors in it.
And freedom, on the other hand, is terrifying because there is no script.
Exactly. If I am not the one managing the chaos, who am I? If I am not the victim who has been wronged by everyone, or the savior who has to swoop in and rescue my family, or the rebel who doesn't need anyone's help, what is my actual identity?
That's a scary question to answer.
It is. The unknown territory of freedom requires us to step out onto a brand new foundation. And stepping onto new ground is inherently scary.
Let's investigate that ground, actually, because that leads perfectly into the absolute necessity of what a healthy foundation must be.
Okay, yeah.
The relief of dropping the burden, the great unburdening we just talked about, is incredible. It feels like shrugging off a 90-pound backpack after hiking uphill for 10 years.
The best feeling in the world.
But the relief is just the beginning of the journey. Once the ground is cleared and the backpack is off, you are still standing in a house. And you have to look down at what you are building your life upon.
Right.
Admitting powerlessness provides the absolute solid ground necessary to build a healthy life. And that ground is rigorous honesty.
Okay, so dropping that mental backpack feels great. But once the exhaustion clears, you're still standing in a house with a cracked foundation. How does just admitting the crack actually help fix the house? Because we see this all the time. People walk into recovery and they immediately want the shiny new roof.
Oh, yeah. The quick fix.
They want the fresh coat of paint on their life. They want their marriage to suddenly look good again. They want their kids to respect them by Tuesday. They want their boss to trust them with the company credit card again. But they absolutely refuse to go down into the dark basement and look at the concrete.
Which is an exercise in total futility.
Right.
In civil engineering, there is a concept called differential settlement.
Okay. Differential settlement. What is that?
It happens when the soil underneath a building changes or gives way, and one specific part of the foundation sinks faster than the rest. It doesn't all sink at once. Just a corner drops by, say, an inch.
So what happens to the house?
It tears the entire structure apart from the inside out. Up on the second floor, a door frame warps. So the homeowner goes up and sands down the top of the door so it closes again.
Treating the symptom.
Exactly. A month later, the pressure shifts, and a window on the first floor cracks. They hire a guy to replace the glass. They're running around spending all this time, money, and energy treating the symptoms. But the lie at the core of the house, the differential settlement in the soil, is still there.
Wow.
In our lives, a small hidden lie at the core of our identity, a secret addiction, a hidden resentment we've carried for 20 years, a quiet manipulation we use to get our way. It operates exactly like that sinking soil.
It affects everything above it.
It creates massive systemic distortions in our daily realities. Truth, no matter how ugly it looks when you first turn the flashlight on it in the basement, is the only stable building material.
And let's talk about what that honesty actually feels like internally. Because when we hear the word honesty, we usually think about external confession.
Right, telling someone else.
We think about telling the truth to a judge, or finally coming clean to a spouse, or admitting a mistake to a boss. And those are vital. But the most profound, earth-shattering shift happens in our own internal dialogue.
How so?
When you finally stop lying to yourself, the relief is staggering. Think about the internal noise of self-deception.
It's loud.
So loud. You no longer have to keep track of which version of reality you're supposed to believe today. Like, am I the victim today? Am I the hero who is just tragically misunderstood by a cruel world?
Am I the highly functioning professional who totally has this habit under control and can stop whenever I want?
Exactly. When you drop the personas and just say, I am powerless and I am broken, the simplification of that truth brings an incredible, sweeping silence to a noisy mind. You don't have to defend the lie anymore.
It completely clears the static. But I want to pause here because this raises an incredibly important question. And I know people sitting at home or driving their cars right now are feeling this fear rise up in their chest.
What's the fear?
What happens when you walk down into that basement? You shine the flashlight on that cracked foundation, you get rigorously honest with yourself, and you realize the damage is way, way worse than you thought.
Oh, yeah.
What if the crack isn't an inch wide? What if it's a gaping chasm? How do you keep from just dropping the flashlight and walking away from the construction site altogether and of absolute crushing despair?
I understand that fear so deeply. It is paralyzing. When the fog of denial finally lifts, the wreckage of our past choices can look insurmountable.
It looks like ruin.
You see the broken trust, the financial ruin, the wasted years. But here's the beautiful, liberating truth about this process. You are not the general contractor.
Wait, you're not.
No. You are not responsible for fixing the chasm yourself.
Say more about that. Because we are so wired to fix things.
We are. But your only job in this very first step is simply to point at the crap and say, there it is, it's real, and I do not have the power to fix it.
Wow. Just pointing.
The crushing despair only comes when we mistakenly believe that admitting the problem means we have to immediately supply the solution.
Right.
But that's not what we are doing here. We are just admitting we need a master builder. We are admitting our profound need. And when you finally stabilize your own internal foundation through that simple, honest admission of need, the collateral benefit is amazing.
It changes everything around you.
It immediately spills over into the lives of the people standing right next to you.
Which is such a vital transition. How does fixing our own internal foundation actually affect the people living in the house with us? It brings us to one of the most transformative parts of this entire journey, relinquishing the throne and restoring our relationship.
Relinquishing the throne, I like that. Taking this first step drastically fundamentally alters our interpersonal dynamics. Because let's be honest, when we are living in denial, when we are frantically trying to control the uncontrollable variables in our lives, we are essentially trying to be God in the lives of the people around us.
We use that phrase a lot in recovery spaces, playing God. But I think we need to really look at what that actually means practically. What does playing God look like in the living room on a Tuesday night?
Yeah.
What does it look like at the dinner table? It usually doesn't look like walking around demanding worship.
No, it's much more subtle.
Playing God in relationships usually looks like subtle manipulation. It looks like having completely unrealistic, unspoken expectations of your spouse or your kids, and then punishing them emotionally with the silent treatment, or passive-aggressive comments, or outright anger when they inevitably fail to read your mind and meet those expectations.
Because they're human.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It is an overbearing, exhausting need to fix, manage, and curate the people we love so that we feel safe. It is so deeply structurally rooted in our behavior. Codependency and addiction, they look very different on the surface.
Sure.
One person is drinking away the pain, the other is running around trying to clean up everyone's messes. But they often share the exact same root pathology.
Which is?
A refusal to accept reality, and a refusal to let others experience the natural consequences of their own actions. Or, on the flip side, forcing others to orbit around our chaos.
Give me an example of what that orbit looks like.
Okay, so if I am struggling with an active addiction, my whole family has to become hostage negotiators.
Oh, that's a heavy term. Hostage negotiators.
But it's true. They have to manage my moods. They search the house to hide my bottles. They work overtime to cover my bounce checks. They lie to the neighbors about why the police were at the house. I become the dark sun. They're all forced to orbit.
And what if you're on the other side?
If I am on the other side, if I am severely codependent, I am the one running around trying to catch everyone before they fall. I am scripting their lives, fighting their battles, doing their homework, paying their debts, all so I don't have to feel the anxiety of watching them struggle.
So taking this first step surrender means officially resigning from the job of general manager of the universe.
Officially putting in your notice.
I want to contrast that manager relationship style with the partner relationship style because the difference is literally night and day.
Let's hear it.
The manager exhausts everyone. If you are a manager in your family, you are handing out scripts every single morning.
Like a movie director.
Exactly. You wake up and silently dictate. You say this, you feel this, you behave this way, you achieve these grades, and then my internal world will be okay. You are a director, constantly critiquing their performance.
And what does the partner do?
The partner, however, walks alongside their loved ones in grace. A partner looks at their spouse or child and says, I am responsible for my own recovery. I am responsible for my own actions, my own mental health, and my own relationship with God.
That's powerful.
I love you, I am here for you, I will support you, but I cannot and will not try to control you.
Imagine the profound physical relief a spouse or a child feels when they realize they no longer have to manage your moods or be managed by your impossible expectations.
A huge weight lifted.
When you step down from the throne, you actually give your family their lives back. You allow your spouse to just be your spouse, not your probation officer, your therapist, or your caretaker.
Right.
You allow your children to just be children instead of little adults who have to tiptoe around your unpredictable emotional landmines.
The generational impact of this single choice is absolutely breathtaking.
It really is.
If you are a parent listening to this right now, I want you to hear this clearly. When you demonstrate surrender and vulnerability, when you sit down at the kitchen table, look your kids in the eye and say, I struggle. I am powerless over this habit or this anger or this need to control everything, and I am getting help.
You shatter a lineage of hidden shame.
Yes. You break the family curse of perfectionism that has probably run in your bloodline for generations. You give your children explicit permission to be human.
To make mistakes.
Exactly. You show them that when they eventually fail in life, and they will because they are human beings, they don't have to hide in the dark like you did. They can step into the light and seek help because they had a front row seat to watching you seek help.
That is true. Lasting legacy. But I want to push back on this a bit because the line between these concepts gets very blurry in real time.
Oh, for sure.
It's really easy to confuse loving someone with trying to control them for their own good. We hear this justification all the time in our groups.
All the time.
Someone will say, I'm not trying to play God. I'm just trying to help my son. If he would just listen to my advice, his life would be so much better and he wouldn't be in debt.
Right. Right.
So how do you practically catch yourself when your genuine, heartfelt care starts crossing the line into playing God?
That is the trap, right? Because it starts from a place of genuine love, but it is all about checking your internal motive and monitoring your own peace.
Your own peace, okay.
A brilliant diagnostic tool is your own anxiety level and your reaction to being rejected.
Oh, that's good.
If you offer help or advice or resources to someone you love and they choose not to take it, what is your internal reaction? If you can look at them and say, okay, I think you're making a mistake, but I love you and I'm here if you need me, and you walk away with your peace completely intact, that is love.
You offered a gift, they declined,
Yeah.
and you remain stable.
Exactly.
But what if you don't remain stable?
Right. If they reject your help and you immediately spiral into anger, deep resentment, or panic, or you start plotting behind their back how to force them to listen to you, or you start withholding affection to punish them.
Then you've crossed the line.
You've crossed the line. You are no longer loving them. You are trying to manage them to soothe your own anxiety about their choices. You are playing God again.
Peace is the indicator.
Yeah.
If your peace is dependent on their compliance, you are managing, not loving.
Wow.
Stepping down from that throne in relationships is a vital, life-saving move, but it is part of a much larger momentum. Okay, so I've stepped down from the throne and I stopped managing my family. Now what? Am I just sitting in the ruins of my life doing nothing?
Just waiting.
Yeah, does taking this first step just mean freezing in place?
Not at all. And that is a huge misconception. This first step, this admission of powerlessness, is not just about stopping bad behavior. It is about initiating powerful, unstoppable, forward progress.
Forward motion.
Exactly. In the principles we walk through together, we call it forward motion. Admitting defeat is the definitive end of destructive cycle and the explosive beginning of a constructive one.
Let's define that destructive cycle. We often call it the loop of insanity.
The loop? Yeah.
It is waking up doing the exact same destructive things, hiding your pain in the exact same way, relying on the exact same failed coping mechanisms. The drink, the shopping, the anger, the isolation.
And somehow expecting a different result.
Right. And somehow, against all logic, expecting that today, magically, the outcome will be different. Admitting powerlessness, saying, I cannot do this, is the heavy iron wrench thrown directly into the gears of that loop. It shatters the cycle.
I want to make sure we clarify something very important here. The word surrender has a lot of baggage in our culture.
Oh, definitely.
It often conjures up images of a defeated soldier waving a white flag, dropping to their knees in the mud, and just waiting to be taken away to a prison camp.
Like giving up.
It looks incredibly passive. It looks like a defeated, hopeless slump. But in the context of the recovery journey, surrender is a highly active, muscular decision. It is a courageous pivot.
It takes work.
Think about the sheer physical effort it takes to stop a massive, heavy object that is moving rapidly in one direction and completely reverse its course. It takes monumental energy to change direction. Admitting powerlessness is the most active, deliberate, powerful choice you have made in years.
It is the difference between giving up on life and giving up the illusion that you can control life.
Let me give you an analogy that I think perfectly captures this dynamic. I think of it like being caught in a riptide in the ocean.
Oh, I've heard those are terrifying.
If you have ever been caught in one, or if you know the mechanics of how they work, you know that the immediate primal human instinct is to fight.
Because you're being pulled away.
You feel the current pulling you out, away from the beach, away from the safety of the shore, and absolute panic sets in. Your brain screams that you are going to die, so you turn your body and you start swimming as hard as you can directly against the current, trying to muscle your way back to the sand on your own strength. You are kicking, you are stroking, you are gasping for air.
What happens if you keep doing that?
You exhaust yourself completely. Your muscles burn, your lungs fill with salt water, the horizon starts tilting. The ocean is infinitely stronger than you are. It does not care how much willpower you have. If you keep fighting directly against the unmanageable power of the ocean, you will drown.
And the strength of the ocean in this context is the unmanageability of our lives. It is the addiction. It is the trauma. It is the brokenness we are trying to outswim.
Exactly. The only way to survive a riptide is completely counterintuitive. You have to stop fighting the ocean.
You have to yield.
You have to yield to the reality that you cannot overpower the current. You let it carry you out a little bit, which is terrifying, but then you calmly swim parallel to the shore until you are out of the pull of the current. And once you are free of the grip, you let the natural waves bring you safely back in. Yielding is the mechanism of survival. Admitting powerlessness isn't giving up on your life. It is finally giving up on the strategy that is drowning you.
And the momentum of that honesty, once you finally stop fighting the current and yield to reality, is deeply contagious. One honest admission unlocks the courage for the very next one.
It's like a chain reaction.
It's like a domino effect in your soul. The first time you sit in a circle or across the table from a friend and say, I have a problem and I cannot fix it, your voice might shake. Your palms will be sweating. You might be terrified that they will reject you. But you say it.
And the sky doesn't fall.
Right. The sky doesn't fall. Lightning doesn't strike you. The person across from you doesn't run away in horror. Instead, they nod and they say, me too.
Me too. Those are powerful words.
And in that moment, you feel a tiny, profound bit of relief. And that relief gives you the courage to make the next honest admission and then the next. The initial paralyzing fear of the first step very quickly transforms into an insatiable appetite for more freedom.
I hear that, and I know it to be true for my own life. But let's be real about the barrier to entry here.
Okay.
A lot of folks get to this realization, they look at the door of recovery, they look at the riptide, they see the cracked foundation in the basement, and they just freeze.
Fear takes over.
They see this first step as a massive, impenetrable brick wall rather than a starting line. Their internal monologue is screaming, if I walk through those doors, my life is over. Everyone will know my secret. I will be branded a failure forever.
Yeah, that shame voice is loud.
How do we shift that perspective for someone listening right now? How do we help someone see that the door is opening to a wider world, not closing them into a prison?
We shift it by focusing entirely on who is waiting on the other side of that door. Because the ultimate forward motion of this journey is not just psychological, as important as that is.
Right.
It is not just relational, where we learn to communicate better with our spouses and stop managing our kids. All of those things are wonderful, life-giving byproducts. But fundamentally, at its very core, this forward motion is deeply spiritual.
Spiritual.
It is entirely about the relationship waiting for us when we finally stop running.
This brings us to the absolute core of the matter, the spiritual reality of recovery. Taking this step moves us out of hiding and back into a right, honest relationship with Jesus Christ.
Exact.
And let's be crystal clear about this because it is the bedrock of everything we do. That relationship is where the true lasting healing actually happens.
Yeah.
It does not happen in our own willpower. It's not happen in our own self-discovery or self-actualization. And it does not happen just because we learn some new psychological coping skills. It happens in the presence of Christ.
We see this pattern, this human tendency to run from God when we are broken, right from the very beginning of humanity. We can rely on the truth found in the Word of God to understand exactly what is happening in our own nervous systems and hearts today.
Let's look at that.
Look at the narrative of Adam and Eve in Genesis. It is the original master blueprint of our human behavior. They walked in perfect peace, perfectly known and perfectly loved. Then they sinned, they broke the design, and the very first consequence of that brokenness was profound shame.
Shame.
When they realized they were broken, vulnerable, and exposed, what was their immediate primal reaction?
They hid.
Yeah.
They didn't run to their creator and say, "We messed up, please help us." They panicked. They looked at their exposure, felt the crushing weight of shame, and they scrambled to fix it themselves. They stitched together flimsy coverings, fig leaves, and they hid in the bushes, absolutely terrified of being seen in their true condition.
I want to ask everyone listening right now, aren't we doing the exact same thing today?
I know 100%. We are behaving in the exact same way.
What do our modern fig leaves look like?
Well, addiction is a fig leaf. We use it to cover the pain of our trauma.
Anger is a fig leaf.
Anger's a huge fig leaf. We use it to keep people at a distance so they can't see how insecure we are. Codependency, perfectionism, workaholism, isolating ourselves in our bedrooms, projecting a flawless image on the internet, these are all our modern fig leaves.
We craft these elaborate, exhausting costumes to hide our deep shame.
And we hide in the bushes of our isolation, absolutely terrified that if anyone, especially God, sees who we really are underneath the costume, we will be rejected and destroyed.
But look at the incredible nature of God's pursuit in that Genesis narrative found in the Word of God. It is so beautiful, and it is so contrary to what we expect when we are hiding in guilt.
God knew exactly what they had done.
He is omniscient. He knew exactly which bush they were cowering behind. But he didn't burn the garden down in a rage. He didn't send a flood right then and there to wipe them out. The Word of God says he walked through the garden in the cool of the day, and he called out, "Where are you?"
I love that so much. Where are you? He didn't ask because he lost them. He is God. He doesn't lose things. He asked to give them the dignity and the agency to step out into the light on their own 2 feet. He was extending an invitation. He was inviting them to come out of the bushes.
Try to put yourself in their shoes or in your own shoes when you're keeping a massive secret. Picture the sheer physical exhaustion of hiding in the dark bushes. Your heart is pounding against your ribs. You are holding your breath. You are constantly listening for footsteps, terrified of being discovered.
It's torturous.
Every rustle of leaves, every text message notification, every unexpected phone call makes you jump out of your skin. That is what living in unconfessed brokenness feels like.
Now contrast that with the overwhelming cellular warmth of stepping out into the light.
Yeah.
The sun hits your face. You drop your shoulders. You can breathe deeply all the way into your stomach again. Jesus isn't walking through the garden of your life waiting with a heavy club to punish you. He is waiting with a robe of righteousness to cover you.
That is the turning point of the entire journey right there. But I want to inject a very sobering reality here that we have to face if we are going to get well.
What's that?
The core principles of our recovery journey teach us something crucial. Jesus cannot heal the fake, curated version of you.
Wow.
He cannot heal the PR agent you send out to represent you to the world. He only heals the real, broken, messy you, the actual you, until you drop the act, until you are willing to take off the fig leaves and physically step out of the bushes. The healing power of Jesus Christ has no authentic target to touch.
He honors our free will so much that if we insist on hiding in the dark, he will let us hide. He will not drag us out against our will. But his hand is continually extended, waiting for us to take that breath and step out.
But let's acknowledge the reality of what you're asking people to do. Stepping out of those bushes means willingly letting go of the fig leaves we've used to protect ourselves for years, maybe decades.
It is terrifying, mind-bending vulnerability.
It goes against every single instinct of self-preservation we have developed since childhood. How do we trust Jesus enough to stand completely exposed in front of him? How do we take that step when our trauma and our experience with other human beings has convinced us that if anyone sees the real us, they will turn away in disgust?
That is the deepest fear we all carry. We overcome it, we trust him by looking directly at the cross. We trust him by looking at what he already did for us while we were still hiding.
He already saw it all.
He already saw the absolute worst of you. He saw the deepest darkness of your sin, your manipulation, your darkest thoughts, and your utter unmanageability. He saw the very things you were most ashamed of.
And his response wasn't discussed.
His response was to lay down his life to pay the price for it. You aren't going to surprise him. You aren't going to walk into a room, confess something, and make Jesus gasp and say, "Oh, wow, I didn't know it was that bad. I take it all back."
No. He already knows the absolute worst about you, and he already loves you perfectly.
That profound vulnerability, that brave act of stepping into the light, is exactly why no human being is meant to do this alone. You do not have to walk out of the bushes by yourself. And that brings our conversation directly to the power and the necessity of the local community.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Because when you finally take a deep breath, step out of the bushes and let the light hit your face, you look around and you realize a beautiful truth. You are the only one stepping out.
There is an entire community of people standing right there in the light, dropping their fig leaves too. You look at them and they look at you and you realize we are all broken. We are all recovering. None of us have it all together, and that is perfectly okay.
And that is our direct, heartfelt encouragement to you right now, in this very moment. You, the person listening to this, wherever you are sitting with us at the table, driving in your car, walking the dog, taking this first step, admitting you are powerless and your life has become unmanageable, is the single bravest thing you can do today.
It is not an admission of ultimate failure. It is the necessary, beautiful prerequisite for ultimate freedom. We want to remind you, with absolute, unwavering certainty, you are known, you are loved exactly as you are right now, not as you pretend to be, and there is a family waiting to stand in the light with you. You do not have to do this alone for one more day.
We want to warmly, personally invite you to join the Celebrate Recovery family in person. Come be a part of what God is actively doing here in our community. Come see for yourself that you aren't alone. We meet right here at Peters Creek Baptist Church in South Park, Pennsylvania.
Here is exactly what our weekly Friday schedule looks like. We'd be absolutely honored for you to join us. 5:15 to 6 p.m. dinner in the social hall. Please note, this dinner is on the final Friday of each month only.
6:30 p.m. large group worship.
7:30 to 8:30 p.m. gender-specific small groups. This is where the masks come off and the real connection happens.
8:30 to 9 p.m. We'd love to see you right here at the Crosstalk Cafe.
If you have questions, if you are nervous about walking through those doors for the first time, or if you just want to talk to someone before you show up, please reach out to us. You can reach out directly to Craig Amstone. You can email him at craig.amstone@gmail.com.
Or you can contact the church office at info@pcbc.church.
You can also visit pcbc.church to learn more about our community. And if you are in the South Park area, but you are hearing this and want help, you can find a group near you at cacallocator.com.
We have journeyed through so much today. We've talked about the incredible relief of letting go of the steering wheel, the absolute necessity of building on an honest foundation instead of a cracked one, how restoring our broken relationships requires us to step off the throne of playing God, and the beautiful, life-saving reality of stepping out of the bushes and into the healing light of Jesus Christ.
As we wrap up our time together, we want to leave you with a final thought, a deeply personal question for you to ponder on your own time, in the quiet moments of your day when the noise fades away.
We talked at the beginning about the broken-down car, the sheer exhaustion of the double life, and the heavy cognitive load of trying to control everything.
You have spent so much time, probably years, calculating what it will cost you to give up control. You have tallied up all the fears, the anxieties, and the terrifying what-ifs. But as you step into tomorrow, ask yourself this one vital question. What is it currently costing you to hold on to it? And is that terrible price keeping you from the peace Jesus has already paid for?